And then we have brother Eric, who took his look at me, Dad, please look at me act to Hannity.
They have charged my father with 34 felony counts. Oh, an admitted thief. That is who they're hanging the entire case on. The other one happens to be a porn star.
And my dad screwed both of them.
Sleepy Don has once again gotten himself into a major situation. This time, however, it is not due to Stormy Daniels. A video posted to his Truth Social account includes references to a unified Reich, as well as imagined news headlines if he wins the election in November. Jimmy Kimmel has taught him a lesson about this idiocy.
What happens after Donald Trump wins? What's next for America?
Okay, if you zoom in, you can see they slipped in the words, a unified Reich. A fourth Reich, if you will.
Could you imagine? The good news is that Trump intends to bring the country together. The bad news is that the country was Germany in 1933. What more does this man need to do to show folks who he truly is? Grow a mustache. Imagine if he got a small blonde Hitler mustache and wandered around with his arm extended. Will people finally recognize his genuine nature then? But I believe his MAGA cults would still adore him. In fact, an army of ass-kissers, including Donald Jr., rushed in to support Donald, while Eric Trump went on Hannity to brag about his father. Jimmy has taken these bootlickers and apple polishers to the cleaners. Before we go into the facts, let's speak about Trump's most recent accusations. When will he begin telling the truth? And as usual, Trump is moaning as the trial comes to a finish.
Right. If there's one thing we know about Donald Trump is that he couldn't care less about crowd size. Now, of course, no day with Donald Trump would be complete without a mention of the size of the crowd.
I was outside. We can't get... It's not a very big thing for us.
Yes, pigs can fly. If there's one thing we know about Trump, it's that he completely doesn't care about crowd size, just as he doesn't care about gold-plated everything.
Of all police, the only people that are allowed out there is the radical left lunatics. And they put our people 4 or 5 blocks of...
Donald is simply a master of exaggeration. Previously, he claimed 100,000 people attended his New Jersey protest, and now he claims there are enormous numbers outside the courtroom. What's next? He'll swear he invented the internet or caught a fish this huge. If Trump were a fisherman, every minnow would become a whale.
There's one crazy lady outside his apartment building screaming at ghosts. That's all you got. I drove by there last week. I was in New York. There's no one there. You have no supporters in your hometown. But
Trump's sole fans in New York are an army of ass-kissers and yes men who flew from Washington. Jimmy just utterly destroys them.
Today it was Don Jr., Sebastian Gorka, Ronnie Jackson, and Joe Piscopo. Not exactly a Beatles reunion of stars.
Outside the courtroom, we could see Congressman Troy Nehls from Texas, who thought it necessary to go and lavish adoration over his beloved Orange Crush as well.
And who shows up? Tens of thousands of people show up at Donald Trump's rallies. The Democrats hate it. There's not another person on the planet that can do that other than the Pope. This is 5 weeks sitting in a courtroom when he should be out reaching the American people and telling the American people what he would like to do for this country.
It appears Troy Nehls is more loyal to his orange infatuation than to his constituents. Maybe he's aiming to switch jobs from politics to professional slobbering, and when comparing Trump's rally turnout to the Pope's, I suppose they both have expertise drawing crowds, but one preaches love and unity while the other preaches hate and division. Well, you know what I mean. This guy is high or something. And what's with his tie? A journalist asked him about it, and the question was enough to give the MAGA polisher a run for his money.
No, he cannot explain that.
And did you notice what this guy is wearing around his neck? Donald Trump's going to be the 47th president. Donald Trump's going to be the 47th president, and he's going to make America great again.
Nobody championed Donald Trump with more zeal than the unfortunate guy who shares his name despite their apparent lack of chin.
That is who they're hanging the entire case on. The other one happens to be a porn star.
And my dad screwed both of them.
If that wasn't enough, Eric Trump decided to turn it up a notch by crying like a baby. The Trumps appear to be prone to pouring crocodile tears. Eric Trump's advisor must have given him a script, since he is pouring out his heart with the sincerity of a soap opera star. In the midst of the turmoil, he bemoaned that Eric Trump constantly looks and sounds like he's about to burst into tears.
And in case I didn't mention it 5 times already, he's my father.
Father's been censored. My father, that man right there on the stage, my father didn't do a damn thing wrong. He's a great president, he's a great person, he's a great father.
But Grumpy, Trumpy has a lot on his plate, and he's threatening to sue the filmmakers behind the new film, The Apprentice. Have you heard of it? It stars Sebastian Stan as a teenage Donald Trump in the 1980s. New York Trump spokeswoman stated that this film is a fake and should not even be available on DVD, let alone in a bargain bin at a closing business. However, if it wins an Oscar, he will most likely take credit for writing it. This circus does not appear to have an end in sight. Even Trump's legal team is displaying indications of dissatisfaction, and Trump himself continues to trash the courts and judges.
And nobody knows this stuff better than me. Nobody knows more about construction than I. Nobody knows more about taxes than I do, and income than I do. Nobody knows more about campaign finance than I do.
I'm gonna start suing people. I don't know. And I think I could keep Trump awake during the trial.
I must agree that one thing I will find entertaining when this trial closes is watching Trump's lawyer Blanche glare in silence while Trump complains outside the courthouse day after day. But don't overlook the irony here. Trump appears to have no respect for the courts. He is so afraid of testifying that he is on the edge of invoking the Fifth Amendment. Recall, Trump used to call anyone who did so a coward. Oh, the hypocrisy. It is at its absolute pinnacle. Let's discuss Trump's track record. Throughout his tenure, he has demonstrated a lack of competence, particularly in dealing with the COVID-19 disaster. Compare that to Biden, who is being praised as a hero for his actions. It's like night and day. Should he avoid a guilty verdict? This man is involved in a web of corruption with a mound of evidence demonstrating the numerous laws he has violated, either because the jury was bribed or intimidated.
She's a world-class liar. Just look at her pathetic email server statement. He was case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad.
It's past time he was jailed. The grasp of this cult has been broken. Jimmy, your passion to mocking Trump is a lifeline in this pandemonium. This situation is a complete nightmare that must be ended immediately. Failed to keep his commitments, Trump has broken his promise to testify, and he is now whining. It's incredible, totally beyond words.
The late great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. I live you 100%. I wish you a lot of luck. Work hard, do the best you can, and remember what I said. No drugs, no alcohol. If you'd like to see a nice bird cemetery, walk under a windmill sometime. Never, ever call Chris Christie a fat pig.
These events are among the most stunning revelations of all time. Let us hope that the judge holds Donnie accountable for the remaining gag order violations and sanctions the maximum punishment of 30 days per violation, followed by the maximum sentence for the guilty judgment, then straight from the court to Rikers.
Never had an affair with Trump. I questioned whether she actually signed the letter because the signature looked suspect and sorely implied that she hadn't.
You couldn't find it. There's nobody like that. The look, the brain, the whole thing. We had a great relationship.
Prosecutor shows text between lawyers about Stormy Daniels' appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live.